Welcome to the Driven Moms Answering Adversity interview series, stories of success through setbacks from Mom Elevated. Together, we can shine the light on how normal challenges and struggles are, along with how we can overcome and rise above them. And today we have Lauren to share her story with us. So, if you don't mind, would you like to get us started by sharing just a little bit briefly about your story?
Yes. A little of my story actually started 2 years ago. I lost my mother, and um, my mother was my best friend, and so I'm the oldest, so I really had to kind of go into this survival mode of like how I was going to financially pay for people. She was really young, but she was here. The next day she was not. Being the oldest, I really had to figure out um, how I was going to financially afford it. When I lost her couple of days after we found a electricity, and um, she had one. Um, it's kind of I didn't really understand insurance before. I always thought life insurance definitely was a scam just because I've never really had any else policy or money. So that's kind of one of the reasons why I get into insurance. So I am a health insurance and life insurance broker, and my mom was the ultimate reason why I got into this was because I really wanted to understand it and help others not have to figure out how to pay for a funeral. Being in the insurance world, I really understand that for one, it's important, but also it's affordable, and so insurance can be very complex. So I think that obviously everyone needs auto insurance and home insurance, but do they really understand protecting yourself and protecting your loved ones? That's actually how I got into the industry, was because I was a walking testimony that it was real. Um, the insurance that my mom had was able to we paid for the funeral, but not just that, we also paid for a beautiful headstone, like everything you can think of that a lot of people have to struggle or pull loans out. But we also each, me and my siblings, received a large amount of money, that I was receiving checks, and I was like, wait, what is this real? Um, I just really think that my mom, um, she went through loss herself with her mother 2 years during COVID. And I know that she struggled quite a bit. Her and her siblings struggled having to come up with the funds. And I think that was kind of an eye opener to her, for her loved ones, and to making sure that we were protected if anything. So that's the reason why I came into insurance. And I'm independent, meaning that I have to go out and find my clients as well. So I don't have a list of clients. All my clients are either referrals, or I go out and get them as well myself, if it's on social media or if it's door knocking. So there's just different ways of how I reach my clients, but really I just try to kind of just the reason of this being in this industry is the education piece. I really don't feel it's a sales position. I feel like more it's an, hey, let me educate you and make sure that you're protected. That's a little bit of my story.
Love that. That is, I mean, I'm sorry for your loss, but what a
Hmm.
beautiful journey that ended up putting you on, really. And then
Hmm.
I think it's definitely one of those things that I think if people experience loss and their family didn't have life insurance or any insurance of any kind, I think that is really a huge turning point for a lot of families. So
Hmm.
I know my dad, that my dad's side of the family is very much not like not planners,
Y-
not preparing. And so when my grandmother passed, I think he has like two or three life insurance policies on himself now because they did have to come
Mhm,
up with everything or just
mhm,
skimp and do the least amount possible to make sure
mhm.
that they could cover it all. And so he even already has paid for his own, you know,
Yeah.
stone and things like that so that it's already done and ready. But again, it's one of those things that I don't think he would have even thought about it because he is already
Mhm,
in his 60s and close to 70 now, I think. But I don't think he would have thought of it otherwise,
mhm,
even though, I mean, I feel like we're inundated with information about life insurance,
mhm.
but it's not something, it's like an afterthought of, oh,
Yeah.
we'll get to that. We'll get to that when we need it, but you never know when you need it. So
Yeah.
it's really important. Do you think that it's also like for moms especially, do you think it's important not only to have it on yourself, but also your kids? Because I know I have life insurance on our kiddos, but some people are like, you do? And I'm like, You never know what
You
might
never know.
happen. Like,
Yeah.
you never know. And that's not something you want to then deal with when you're also
Yeah.
grieving.
Yeah, no, I definitely think it's a very important thing to have on your kids. I personally do have one for him, but there's a lot of people don't want to think of that, and unfortunately, we have to. I've seen friends lose their kids 5 years old, a baby, and so those are, I know we don't want to think about those things, but it's so important because again, you're already having to go through the grieving, you're still having to plan the funeral. Like it's just, it's an ugly feeling having to, I can't even imagine people having to plan something like that and still having to come up with the funds. Like so I feel like it's very important. Even too, there's so much different types of product out there that even if it's just you adding your child as a rider, meaning that, hey, I have a policy for the mom, but I'm going to add the kid on there, or if it's the kid having their own policy. So there's just different types of ways. I work with a lot of different incomes with my clients. I have people that are very strict on a budget. And so I try to get them something. So I think it's so important that your kids have it because again you just don't know what the unknown is, and I can say that because again my mom, she was here one day and the next she wasn't, and that's because she was not sick. She didn't have any health problems. It was truly it was considered a murder suicide. So again, it's just you just never know. My mom was 45, so a lot of people are like, "Oh, was she sick?" And I was like, "No." And I tell my story pretty often just because I want people to understand that again, you just don't know what the unknown is. Someone, the car wrecks are, there's so many car wrecks going on. There's so much medical issues going on that a lot of people don't realize until it's too late. And it's too late when you find out that you have some type of illness and now you can't get insurance because you have a health problem. So, um, that's why we always educate people like get your kids insurance now because again, illnesses can change later on in the future. So yeah.
Yeah, our middle daughter was going through, we still have no diagnosis, no idea what is going on really, but getting her insured, she was insured, but we were switching insurance policies because
Mm-hmm.
the one we had was not great. But trying to get that while we were still doing testing and stuff was almost like it took I think a year to finally get her approved and covered, even though
Exactly.
the doctors were like, she's fine. It's not affecting her life, like
Mm-hmm.
lifespan. It's not going to because maybe who knows, we didn't know what it was, so it's possible
Yeah.
it would have, but they were trying to vouch. But yeah, it was such a process of letters upon like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
well, then trying to get in touch. It just the reason we were able to finally get it through is because we talked to somebody at the insurance company who was like, this is what you need because this is what you're missing. And I was like, but how long would it have taken otherwise? If we were just going back and forth to finally get them,
Yeah.
hey, this is the actual verbiage you need It is
Exactly.
crazy. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and that's I feel like that's really what a difference is in personally me as an agent is I really kind of do what I need to and I figure out how to make a call with the company. I usually try to stay away from like emails. I follow it on phones. That's the best answer. So I know that that's kind of what makes me a little different is because I truly do care for my clients and I want to make sure that they are properly covered and figuring out like so that's why I offer pretty much I'm a broker, meaning I work with different types of companies. So if I can't get a client something specific, like, so like as you know, like health issues, if you can't, I can't get my client this type of product or traditional life insurance, so I get them a pre-need. So it's really, it's technically yes, it's a funeral contract. They are picking their funeral, casket, all the way down to the pre-need. It's the beginning of the very end. And the reason why I do offer the product is because I really never want to tell my client, no, I don't have anything for you. So I want to make sure I have something for someone. It's never going to get hundreds of thousands of dollars, but I can at least to the cost of it. So I think that's what's important being an agent is to make sure you're offering all solutions for all your clients because there's not one type of client I've seen as young as someone 30 years old can't get traditional life because of something wrong with his brain. So it's like, what can I do best to help my client?
that's crazy. Like puzzles, fitting all the puzzle pieces. Just
Yeah.
so then
Yes.
along that line, you kind of already answered what adversity you answered,
Hmm.
but how did that really set because your mom already did have all of these things set up, so which was really
Hmm.
nice for you guys to be able to grieve while
Hmm.
still managing all of those things. How did that challenge really launch you into doing it, being like, this is okay, this is my career path. I want to help others so that they can, feel that comfort while they're grieving, or like what launched you into that direction?
Yeah. So it's actually interesting. So I am in HR world. I in HR, and I just happy to was that industry because my background technically is in sales. I worked in retail for years. Well, funny, interesting. I was applying at jobs, and so I had applied at this job as a recruiter. That's technically what I was applying for. Well, when I came in, I didn't really know much about the company. I knew that they did insurance, but I didn't know too much. And so I sat down, did an interview, and from there, they had told me, "Oh, well, why don't you sell the product? You have experience." And then I finally told them my story about my mother, and they're like, "You need to build your own agency. You need to build your own team." And so that was kind of what kind of pushed me was the fact that they had told me like, hey, like you have a story, you have the experience, like go out there, go. And so it was kind of more of like a path that I was taken, but more of that um, I but still didn't know if I wanted to do this. And so when I got into this, I wanted to help people, but it was more of the fact that what challenges were I going to hit? Again, sales and insurance is a lot different, especially when it comes to life insurance. Life insurance is more of a challenge than any type of other insurance like auto because everyone needs that. No one needs life insurance. It's not a demand that people, it's not that you have to get it. So that was actually how I got into the industry was because I was just interviewing for a recruiter and then ran into the owner of the company and he told me, hey, you need to sell the product. And I was like, I didn't know, like I was kind of still going through the process with my mother. But then I was like, you know what, like I I sat down and prayed about it, and I was like, you know what, no, like this is what I want to do, because it was going to give me the option to not have to work in corporate anymore. It gave me the option to build something on my own and not jump into leadership role that I actually so the community and here in I'm in San Antonio, Texas, and our community, um, we're very high. We have a high demand in being protected, and we have Latinos and Latinas that don't understand. So I feel like that's why I wanted to do it, was to really help in the education piece. And a lot of people, they always tell me, well, I sure I mean, it's great, it's nothing, but again, all the chances are awful with your job, and you don't have insurance for 3 months, and the what if something happens within those three? Like, you want to get your own policy again to protect you. But yeah, I think that was kind of my journey, how I got into the industry.
Do you find that, okay, so I know that it's great to have your insurance through your work and whatever, but do you actually,
Hmm.
since you advocate for having it outside of the workplace as well, do you
Hmm.
find that a lot of times it's more difficult, or depending on, I guess, who the company might be, that it's difficult to get that life insurance policy like moving once things happen? Or have you seen anything in that vein where it's
Um,
better to have have it.
so I always, one thing we always recommend is we always recommend to keep it, because they don't pay anything or they pay very little. But we always educate them on the fact that, of course, if you end up being laid off, you lose all your benefits, or if you end up moving your job, you don't have insurance for 3 months. But and everyone's different. Every company is different. People have 90-day probation period. People have you get on the spot, you get insurance. So, but also too, um, one thing we do teach them is that group insurance, you're really, the maximum you're going to get is $250,000, which is, yes, it's a lot of money. But what we said, when we sit down with our agents or our clients, we really go through more of an analysis of how much they need. So we will sit down with them, we'll go through, how much debt do they have? What is their income? Do they have kids? Do they have a mortgage? So we really sit down with them and figure out a total death benefit. And they come to find out they need $1 million in coverage. So is $250,000 going to be enough? No, it's definitely not. So we kind of, whenever we talk with our agents, and I, or not my agents, with the clients, I specifically go through with like a teaching of, this is how much you need. Okay, let's figure out a quote. And then from there, so it really just depends. Everyone is different. Everyone has a different case. So that's why I usually specifically sit down with them, if it's in person, if it's through Zoom. I try to stay away from a phone call, just because once you start giving quotes and numbers become very complicated. So um, I always tell my agents, because I have my own agency, so I have agents that work with me, and I always tell them that if they want a quote on the phone, they can just call State Farm. Like, you are here to truly educate your clients. A phone call, yes, I try to help with the phone call, but again, with numbers, it just becomes very complicated. And we're in this industry to educate, not just, hey, I'm going to get you a quote for $100 for 500,000. So we really kind of sit down and go through the education piece of it.
I think that's so smart. And breaking it down that way, like, yeah,
Hmm.
250,000 sounds like so much, but when you
Hmm.
think the grand scheme, do you have cars? Do you have, what
Hmm.
other assets do you have that might need to be taken care of for your family when
Exactly.
gone? Or how much do you want them to I think that's so vital. And
Hmm.
I have an accounting degree, but I also have a music degree. So I think the number aspect of it, I'm like, yes, please break it down as
Yeah.
numbers as you can. I think
Yes.
that's really smart. to do it
Yeah.
that way and to really see where that's going to go and how much you need
Hmm.
instead of just being like, here, this is what it's going to be. Um,
Yeah.
and even if it breaks down further than that, like you're not going to get necessarily a lump sum right away. So like seeing how that's going to play out is really, really cool.
Yeah, exactly. And especially because so one thing we are advocate on about is so when we talk about income, usually it takes the person 10 years to recover from the person that passed away. So even too, I'm very advocate on stay-at-home moms. Like I've seen people say, "Oh yeah, I'm a stay-at-home mom. I don't need insurance." I'm like, "No, you're the first person that needs it because if something ever happens to you, your husband has to go get a babysitter, has to go get someone to help with the house. Like you are worth something. Don't feel like you're not because if something you are the homemaker, you take care of that home. So
Yeah.
very advocate on stay-at-home moms too.
I love that. That's a
Hmm.
beautiful way of looking at that. So
Hmm.
then, in a similar vein, what do you think it is about entrepreneurs that makes us continue on through challenges without giving up when times are tough? So as you're building, growing this agency, obviously there's going to be
Hmm.
valleys and peaks and all the things. What do you think it is about us that's like, nah, we're gonna keep going. We are going to share this information. We are going to educate these people, and this
Hmm.
is important work. Like, what do you think it is that keeps us going?
I think it's passion, wanting to help others with the future. I'm so grateful for whoever helped my mother with hers. Like I am forever grateful for them because again, who knows where we would have been. But I think it's passion and even too like if me being independent and into this full time if I ever have like, hey, okay, I need to go get a Monday through Friday job, I will still always do this. Because again, I want my family or friends or like, hey, Lauren, does insurance and I still want to help. I think it's passion, but I think it's also um, wanting what's best for my kids. So my goal is to not have to work a Monday through Friday job. I want to be able to do this full time, and then I do it full time. Again, those challenges and look at it the way you know what it's gonna be like, but I think what it is it's my son that drives me to be entrepreneur, to have the time if I need to like not work the day because he's sick, I can take the day off without having to call someone and say, hey, I'm not going to be able to work or so I think that's what it is, passion and my kids.
I love that. I think that's so true. We homeschool now and I've got my business going and it's nice to be able to be like, you know what? Today we're gonna go to the park instead of whatever I had going on. Like obviously you have your calls and your schedule as far as that goes. Like I'm not gonna back out of those. Once in a while you'll have to reschedule them if there's somebody sick or something, but it's nice to kind of be able to dictate what you're doing that day or change it up if you want to and not have to stick to necessarily a strict schedule or plan. I love that. What
Yes.
overall takeaway or lesson would other mompreneurs be able to use from your experience specifically?
I'd say passion for it, like keep pushing. I think us moms, we get so stuck in life things that we sometimes are like, I don't want to do this no more. I'm just so frustrated. I have things so much going on. But I think um, if you love what you do, you should still push yourself, no matter if it's hard or not, because in the end, it's going to make you happy. And I think that's us moms, we get into this like, I want to make everyone else happy. and we don't want to make ourselves happy, and then we become a struggling mom and not the best mom, and so, or we don't feel like we're the best mom. So I think that's one thing I can say is if you love what you do, then keep pushing. And I always tell myself that every day, because sometimes I feel like, oh man, like I am taking a day from my son, or I'm, because I got to meet with an agent or meet with a client. But then it's like, I love what I do. So I keep doing it.
Well, and look at the example you're setting for him too. Like, yeah, you might be. I always tell my clients, you're gonna be missing out on something
Hmm.
somewhere. So you get to pick what you're missing out on. And
Hmm.
sometimes them missing out on you is okay because they get to come back and tell you what, you weren't there for, and they're so excited to tell you what they were doing. And then you get to see that little sparkle in their
Hmm.
eyes and them light up about something, and then you can tell them about your time. And I think it's really fun, and it opens up a great conversation. Yes, of
Hmm.
course we want to be there for literally everything because we love them so much, but I think that's really important to show them that you can have those passions and you can pursue them and
Hmm.
still be very involved and there for
Exactly.
them. And I think that's wonderful. Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. I advocate for that as well.
Yes.
Do you think that your experience kind of gave you a unique perspective on that since you did lose your mom when she was so young? Do you think that was like, oh man, this really could happen at any time? Like, because for me, my parents are both fairly, I mean, I did almost lose my dad when he was younger, when
Hmm.
I was younger, um, but I do still have him. So
Hmm.
I don't really have that. I have that, oh, that could have
Yeah.
happened, but it didn't. And then my mom is like in her 70s, so she's still around and I have that and I have that advice that I can go to
Hmm.
her. So do you think that, that gave you the unique perspective of
Yes.
living
So,
each
so
day?
yeah, growing up, my mom was, I would say, single mom, but more of like she was a hard worker, meaning that she was working crazy hours, and I remember kind of sometimes not seeing her, but also, um, but one thing I can say about my mom is she was at every game, basketball game, pep squad, like whatever I was in, she was involved in. She was at performance or something. So when my baby, so I have a 2 year old, and he was 2 months when my mom passed. So it was a challenge within itself, but I think that has kind of opened my eyes of what I want to do for him. Obviously growing up, we there was a lot of struggles and trauma, so I've been very protective of him because of the way I lost my mom, and I know I'm kind of like I have to kind of not be so overprotective, but again, I think that's just the mom in me because of the other things that were going on too. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Man,
Mhm.
that's kudos
Yeah.
to you. That's
Yeah.
a lot.
It's a lot, and that's a little bit of everything else
That's just
that's
a glimpse into,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Oh man, that's wild. But
Yeah.
amazing. It is amazing how many incredible women there are out there, but like everything that we go through, it's amazing to see how much stronger and how we can transform it into something so beautiful because I love hearing all of these stories. It is very
Yeah.
inspirational.
Yeah,
Um,
no. Every time I hear someone's story, I'm just like, wow, like that's one thing I've always learned is that there's always someone that has way more trauma than you've gone through, and so that's why I always anyone I meet, I try to be as positive as possible, because again, you just never know what someone has gone through in life.
right, and I would never get like, I mean, how many people would be like, "Oh yeah, for sure you went through some tough times."
Yeah.
Like, like we all know that everybody has gone through
Hmm.
something difficult at some point in time, but you, it's not like I would look at you and be like, yeah, you lost your mom when she was young, for
Yeah.
sure.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's incredible to see the different layers and how we use that in our lives each day.
Hmm.
I love that. Are
Exactly.
there any final thoughts or last words that you'd like to let everybody?
No, I just think keep pushing yourself no matter what your goals are. I think that's you have to be an advocate for yourself, and I think that's the biggest thing. You're your biggest cheerleader, basically.
Absolutely. Oh, 100%. I love that. What is the best way then for others to get a hold of you if they would like to work with you, learn more about you, ask you questions about insurance?
Absolutely. So best way would either be my phone number. So my number is 210 740 3721, or email to you can reach me through email, Lauren, Lauren at intouchfinancialgroup.com.
Perfect. And
So
I'll have the information in the description as well, like
okay,
just in case there are just
yes.
listening, that way they can still find
Or
you.
social media too. I have social media. So Facebook, you can look me up, Lauren Georges. It's Lauren and then Georges, it's Georges. So George with an S. I'm on Instagram. Um, and I think just those two. I have LinkedIn too. I'm working on TikTok. So pretty much you can find me pretty much any social media.
Okay, that sounds great. I will definitely include that and I will be following. I think it's great.
Yes. Yes. Well, thank you so much, Jessica. I truly appreciate it.
Yes, thank you for joining us today. I know sometimes it's hard to take time out of your busy life to do things like this, but your story is inspirational, as I mentioned, and your willingness to
Yes.
be open about it is very much appreciated and needed, especially in this time. I feel just being able to relate and hear other people's
Mhm.
stories is very important. And for those of
Absolutely.
you, yeah, for those of you out there facing your own adversity, know that you're not alone. That is why we're doing what we're doing. It is very important to know that you are not alone. And when you need an extra hand or mind for brainstorming during your mompreneur journey, we would love to work with you through the Mom Elevated Society, which now has Gift Yourself Grace, which is a quarterly reflection program. You'll find monthly check-ins for goal setting and assessing, and so much more for both your business and your mom life. And reach out to Lauren if you need help with insurance. Very important. We have it. You should have it. You will not be regretting that. And until next time, keep shooting for the stars. Bye.
Bye.